Right now, millions of people are losing their minds over a ball. They're painting their faces, screaming at strangers, refreshing scores at 2 a.m. And when Monday rolls around, the first thing out of everyone's mouth is, "Did you watch the game?" And then there's you, quietly sipping your coffee, nodding politely, waiting for the conversation to be about literally anything else. Neuroscience has a name for what's actually happening in both those brains, and when you hear it, it's going to reframe everything you thought was wrong with you. Stay with me, because I know what you've told yourself, that you're broken somehow, that you're missing the gene that makes humans care about whether some team of millionaires wins a game in a city you've never been to. You've sat at the table at Thanksgiving while everyone argued about a quarterback, and you genuinely couldn't access the feeling they were having, not even a little. And somewhere along the way, you started wondering if that made you cold, disconnected, less human. It doesn't mean you lack passion. It doesn't mean you can't feel tribal loyalty or deep excitement. It definitely doesn't mean something is wrong with your brain. Actually, something is very, very right with it. Here's where it gets interesting. In 2018, researchers studying sports fandom found that a significant driver of fan behavior is something called parasocial bonding, emotional attachment to groups or individuals you have no real relationship with. Your brain releases the same neurochemicals during a team win as it does during a personal victory, same dopamine spike, same cortisol crash after a loss, which sounds beautiful, right? Community, belonging, shared joy. Here's the kicker though. Your brain decided it wasn't interested in outsourcing that reward system. People who show low engagement with sports tend to score higher on a trait called need for cognition, the drive to think deeply about things, to find meaning through analysis rather than vicarious experience. Your brain didn't opt out of the reward, it just refuses to accept a substitute. It wants the real thing. And here's the part that explains everything. There's a concept in psychology called identity fusion, where your sense of self becomes so intertwined with a group that the group's wins and losses literally feel like your wins and losses. For hardcore fans, this isn't metaphorical. Brain scans show the same neural activation whether they scored or the team scored. Now, I'm not saying that's bad. Belonging is one of the most powerful human needs. This is a very real, very human form of connection. But here's the honest comparison. When you win something, it's yours. When you create something, solve something, build something, that dopamine belongs to you completely. It's not borrowed. It's not outsourced. You don't need 11 other people and a referee and a favorable weather report for your brain to feel like it succeeded. You've been living in first person this whole time. Everyone else has been watching a movie and calling it their life. But wait, it gets weirder. Studies on dopamine sensitivity suggest that people who don't engage in high-stimulation group behaviors often have naturally higher baseline dopamine tone, meaning your brain is already running at a level that makes the artificial spike from sports fandom feel unnecessary, redundant. Like offering coffee to someone who's already fully awake. The people who need the roar of the crowd, their brains are chasing something yours already has access to quietly. This is why loud, chaotic environments often don't excite you, they drain you. It's not introversion as a flaw, it's a nervous system that's already calibrated, already resourced. Noise feels like interference, not fuel. Now, before the comment section explodes, sports fans, I see you. What you have is genuinely powerful. The communal experience of sport is one of the last truly tribal rituals in modern society. There is real neurological magic in a stadium full of people sharing one moment. I mean that. But here's something that sounds contradictory. The very thing that bonds the crowd also makes it harder to leave. Research on group identity consistently shows that strong sports fandom correlates with increased anxiety around the team's performance, decreased mood stability during losing seasons, and a phenomenon researchers call BIRGing and CORFing, basking in reflected glory and cutting off reflected failure. The fan identity requires constant maintenance, constant inputs, wins to feel good, losses to recover from. Your sense of self doesn't have a season. It doesn't have an off-season either. And here's where it gets interesting one more time, because this one's about social performance. You know the small talk you dread? The sports conversation you can never join? There's actually a concept called social grooming through shared reference points. Humans use common cultural touchstones, sports scores, celebrity gossip, viral moments, to signal tribal membership quickly without revealing anything real about themselves. It's efficient, it's low risk, it's also kind of shallow, and most people who use it know that. You never learned that shortcut. So you either go deep or you go home. You skip the preamble. You don't know how to do the weather report version of human connection. So when you do connect, it tends to actually mean something. You're not bad at small talk. You're allergic to performing closeness you don't feel. That's not a social deficit. That's integrity. Here's the payoff. The next time someone looks at you with genuine confusion and says, "How do you not care about sports?" Remember this: your brain never learned to rent its emotional life out to someone else's performance. It held out. It stayed yours. You feel things deeply when they're real, when they're earned, when they belong to you. And your nervous system made a decision, probably pretty early, that borrowed passion wasn't worth the neurological rent. You didn't miss the sports gene. You have an overactive authenticity filter. And in a world that runs almost entirely on performed enthusiasm, that filter is quietly, devastatingly rare. You're not the person who doesn't get it. You're the person who couldn't be fooled.